Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. It was that big talk about Iranians providing the Russians with drones, and then the Iranians stated that, oh, well, yeah, we didn't. And then after a while, they said, yes, we did. But we did before February 24th, 2022, before the Russians started their operation in Ukraine. So now they changed the tactic. They just made a deal, the Russians with the Iranians, to build the drones in Russia. So then that means we bypassed everything, didn't we? This article comes from from the Jerusalem Post, and it's from November 19th, 2022, today. Iran, Russia sign a deal to begin Iranian drone production on Russian soil. Moscow and Tehran finalized the deal during a meeting in early November, accelerating the exchange of key components and designs that would allow production to begin within months. Russia has quietly reached an agreement with Iran to begin manufacturing hundreds of weaponized drones on Russian soil, according to a new intelligence seen by the US and other Western security agencies, the Washington Post has reported. Now, whenever you see US and other Western security agencies or intelligence agency, you should not believe it until you have somehow some proof somewhere. And I'm saying that because you have Iraq always as an example where this intelligence services of the United States and even the Germans, the Israeli, the British intelligence services, they said that those guys were developing weapons of mass destruction and all that, and he must be in clear and danger, whatever, imminent attack and blah blah blah. So they need to preemptively destroy a country, which they did, and they never found anything. And I said, well, while we are at it, why don't we just reconstruct it, bring democracy and freedom. Officials from Moscow and Tehran finalized the deal during a meeting in Iran in early November, accelerating the exchange of key components and designs that would allow production to begin within months. If the new agreement is fully realized, it would signify a further deepening of Russian-Tehran alliance, Russian-Iranian alliance, that has slowly been forming in light of Moscow's faltering military campaign in Ukraine. As the two countries grow closer, Iran has already provided crucial support for Russia during its war. Now, all this paragraph here is meant to help our opinion grow in this direction, where we will be okay if Iran only logically should be allowed to provide anything to Ukraine for its self-defense. So yeah, this is the first step of the mountain slope model, which they start slowly, and in the end, that's exactly what I just said now. That's exactly what they will say, and they will start providing Ukraine, if the war doesn't stop by then. By moving drone production lines directly into Russia, Moscow could quickly replenish its dwindling munition stockpile with relatively inexpensive but highly destructive weapon systems that have recently begun playing a much larger role in the 9-month-old Ukrainian war. While the newly provided weapons could give a significant boost to Russia's failing war efforts, as well as provide a much-needed economic boost to isolate Iran. Iran's clerical rulers face mounting international pressure over their military alliance with Moscow. In a separate delegation, Russian Security Council Secretary Nikolai Patrushev met Iran's President Ebrahim Raisi on November 9th. The two discussed, among other topics, the economic sanctions and other, I'm quoting, Western interferences interfering with both countries, according to state-run Russian and Iranian news media. Russian Security Council Secretary Nikolai Patrushev's visit was a sign of Iran's growing importance as a supportive partner and weapon supplier at a time when Moscow is isolated by Western sanctions and faces intense Ukrainian military pressure. Well, again, they say that Russia is isolated. I have to remind whomever is eager to listen that Russia is not isolated. It just doesn't have, there's about 40 countries who isolated themselves from Russia. And why am I saying that? That could sound, oh my God, what are you saying? Is the rest of the world out there is doing business with Russia. So the isolation is actually, those guys isolate themselves from Russia. As I said before, they isolate themselves from Iran, some of them from Cuba, some of them from North Korea. You see how many countries are isolated, but they make deals among themselves, but somehow they're isolated. And all these countries make deals with other countries, with countries that are not isolated, like India, China, South America, Africa, if you want. I mean, continents full of countries. Not only, a few European countries and the Anglo-Saxon coalition is all that matters, plus Japan, all that South Korea, all that matters on this planet. But they seem to think that without them, the world doesn't exist, or doesn't keep going. And that is a very narcissistic way of seeing things. I mean, believe me, if these 50 countries are non-existent somehow, I don't think the world is going to be dying tomorrow and starving, and we're going to go and plow the fields again with a plow and let's go, let's move. I don't think that's going to happen. Do you? I mean, if you think that would be the case, then you're agreeing with the kind of supremacy where only some nations, some tribes, can create, and the other ones are just retards. Well, I don't subscribe to that theory anyway, so I think we will be fine without them, and they will be fine without us. But probably they will have to work harder a little bit, if you know what I mean. But it's okay. Technology makes work easier, that's for sure. And we like it or not, technology seems to still be a monopoly of certain countries, a few countries actually on this planet. But it doesn't mean that the general rule of necessity will not make humans create or stop creating because somehow they're on a different geographical position. Maybe they will need some time, like they need it, and little by little things will catch up. Well, thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.